Okay, right. All of you, the most important topic in any versions like ECC versions and SAP S4 HANA versions, that is FI to MM integration. Okay, now I just give you the important note in this FI to MM integration. In real time process, no one will going to create the FB60 invoices or FB70 invoices. You got my point, all of you? Then in real time process, end users will post the purchase orders. I mean, end users will create the purchase order. Based on that purchase order, okay, you will just post the invoice receipt. Okay, see, we are just posting the invoice receipt and we are just posting the payment receipts. We are just posting the invoice receipt for the customers and we are receiving the payment from the customers. Okay, see here in real time process, we use different types of purchase orders for vendors and different types of sales orders for customers. Why it is more important? Just please try to understand in a different version. That is, whenever we are having the purchase orders or whenever we are buying the material from the particular vendors, we need to create the purchase orders, not SAP FICO consultant, not CO consultant, not MM consultant, not SD consultants. Okay, only end users will create the purchase orders. End users will create the sales orders. Based on the purchase orders and all, automatically all the process will be commenced from the purchasing of the material. Then when it comes to the invoice receipt and all, so end user is the one person who is posting all these invoices for the particular client business transactions. Okay, and please be aware of this topic that end users will only create the purchase orders, not the SAP FSU consultant. Okay, when it comes to the testings also, okay, SAP FSU consultants will give you the instructions to create the purchase orders. Okay, when it comes to the unit acceptance testings and all. Okay, and also user acceptance testings and all. But the main important point here is you may have different types of purchase orders. I mean, end user may have different types of purchase orders, and those purchase orders may not be related to the payment terms, may not be related to the taxes, may not be related to the different types of item categories. Okay, and then whatever the standard system options that is given by the SAP systems and all, okay, we need to utilize it. If you need any customizations and all, so we will take out the ABAP help, and based on the functional specification fields, based on the technical specification fields, so they will create the layout. Okay, different types of layouts. Layouts means we do have instruction guide and then field. Okay, if it is a documented, then we have field, right, and we do have drop down options. Okay, like this, if you have any requirement from the client and on, okay, you will do with this ABAP consultants. Okay, so I mean, if the client is required these particular new options and but in purchase orders, what we do, all of you, so based on the item categories, based on the plant, based on the locations, based on the quantity wise, okay, you can create the purchase order. So what is the relationship between FI to MM? Okay, so FI is the one person. Based on the transaction keys only, we will assign the GL accounts. Okay, once the configurations are done, okay, we will create the GL accounts. I mean, end user will create the GL accounts. and we will assign, okay, as a SAP FICO consultant, as a FI consultant, okay, we will assign the GL accounts based on the requirement. Okay, I mean, you will come to know the point of the GL accounts assigning process and all. Okay, in this SAP FICO FI to MM integrations. Okay, but most important point here is when it comes to the FI to MM integration, we can call it as a P2P. Okay, procure to pay. That is very, very important, all of you. See, in this procure to pay, this procure to pay is completely related to the accounts payables. Okay, accounts payables. That is very, very important. And the main important process for this accounts payables are, okay, that is particularly related to the purchase order, right? Whatever the configurations that you have done for the accounts payables, like vendors and all these application configuration process will be applied to the MM integration. Okay, so to create the purchase order, you need to have MM integration configurations. Okay, so FI to MM integration is nothing but the based on the transaction keys only. They will assign the GL accounts. Okay, based on the requirement. So that is our choice whether it is a requirement process or not. Okay, so those things are mandatory. First of all of you. Then next one is here. The first in this process, please try to list out the process and all. Okay, when you go to the material, okay, so I have written each and everything in a procedure manner. Okay, so structure wise I have written the requirement process and all. Okay, so here in material, the first step is material requirement planning. You are the organization and you do have different types of vendors. Suppose I will take the example of Rolex watches, oh sorry, Fossil watches. So Fossil company wants to make different types of watches for women, for men. Okay, so they need material requirement, right? Okay, they need material first of all. So to finish the finished goods or to make the finished goods. Here in this material requirement planning, this refers to the technical and technique of using a projected manufacturing production schedule to figure out what supplied materials you will need and when you will need them, and material requirement planning type controls the MRP processes, pricing and material valuation. You got my point, right? So they are, I mean, they require some material to make the finished goods of fossil. Okay, so here in the material requirement planning, you will go to the market. Okay, so a product planning will be there, right? So PP will be there. Okay, so they will estimate the price. Okay, they will go to the different types of vendors and they will have the agreements. Okay, and first they will check with the vendor quotation. Okay, first they will check with the vendor quotation. I mean, organization will check the vendor quotation. That is how much price that we have, how much pricing that we have, how much material valuation that we have. Okay, so if it is a 10 quantity of material valuation, they will search for the quantity. Okay, whether this quantity is good or not. And see, quantity may vary from vendor to vendor. Price may vary from vendor to vendor. MRP procedure may vary from vendor to vendor. Okay, you got my point, right, all of you? So they will approach the 10 types of vendors. Okay, so PP people will approach the 10 types of vendors and they will just check out what is the exact quantity for this material and this quality is good or not. Okay, so how much bulk quantity they are giving and based on which price they are giving this material, they will check with the different types of vendors. Okay, so note point here is these prices and quantity and valuation may vary from vendor to vendor. Okay, that is the another choice. So if you are okay with that, I mean, if that organization is okay with that material, and if everything is very much perfect, okay, then they would go for the material buying requirement process. Okay, so and after that they will select the vendor. Okay, that we can call it as a vendor selection. In the P2P process, we do have second option, that is vendor selection. This vendor selection is the important step in P2P. Okay, Procurement. With the help of obtained quotation from sources and by comparing them, okay, you will compare the price, right? You will compare the material valuation. Okay, vendors are to be selected. Okay, so then you will just give the request for quotation. Request for quotation is nothing but the, so you are requesting potential vendors to submit a quotation for a material. Okay, so if that material is okay for you, so you are requesting potential vendors, okay, whoever the vendors so that you have listed. Okay, so requesting potential vendors to submit a quotation for a material or services, right, all of you? So quotation contains the vendor's terms and conditions. This quotation contains vendor's terms and conditions, and what is the delivery price, what is the, you see, different categories will be there. You got my point, all of you? So then purchase requisition process. Every organization may have different types of departments. Okay, purchasing department will be there, and the production department will be there, and finished goods department will be there. Okay, so each and every department may require certain material or service. Okay, so employee belonging to the particular department needs to raise a purchase request. Okay, and this purchase request needs to have information like material, quantity, expected due date of delivery, and expected price. Purchase request may also needs to be approved by department head before initiating the approval of the finance department. You got my point, right, all of you? So once this finance department approves the purchase request, purchase group creates the purchase order for purchasing department to act on it. Purchase group will be there, right? And this purchase group creates the purchase order for purchasing department to act on it. You got my point? It is not a purchase order creation. It is just a purchase requisition. Okay, they are initiating the one value, and that value will be assigned to the particular purchasing department to act on it. Okay, so the next one is purchase order. Okay, so once they are confirmed with each and everything, so end users will be there, right? So once this purchase order is created, purchase department end user will create the purchase order, right? And this purchase department initiate the procurement process, that is P2P process. And this purchasing department gives purchase order to vendor. Okay, so vendor supplies the goods to the particular organization and bills the organization accordingly. Okay, I mean, after the configurations and all, we will do the testings, right? In that testing, so you can able to see each and every option. Okay, don't worry. So purchase order needs to have information like order type, who is the vendor, and what is the material, and what is the item category, and what is the quantity, and what is the price, and what is the delivery date, and what is the terms of payments. The next one is you can create purchase order using transaction code ME21. Okay, so the next one is goods receipt. When this organization receives the goods from the vendor, we will post the goods receipt using transaction code MIGO. And the accounting entry, see all of you, till purchase orders, there is no accounting entries that will be generated in the SAP system. Okay, so from the goods receipt, we can able to create the entries. That accounting entry for the goods receipt is raw material inventory account data to the goods receipt or invoice receipt creditor. Okay, so inventory account data. So data what comes in, creditor what goes out. You know it very well, right? So the next one is invoice receipt. When the organization receives the bills from the vendor, okay, invoice receipt is posted using transaction code MIRO. Okay, all of you, using transaction code MIRO, invoice receipt. So you are using FB60, right? So that is one invoice receipt. So in FIDMM integration, okay, in real-time process, everyone will use the MIRO, all of you. Everyone will use the MIRO. Please try to understand the point. On that thing, you will going to have taxes. On that thing, you will going to have different types of items. Okay, so what is the accounting entry that we have? So GRIR clearing account data to the vendor account creditor. Definitely invoice receipt, right? So then next step. So payment to vendors. Vendor needs to be paid on time, all of you. And organization may have huge volume of vendors and due or overdue invoices. For this, SAP has introduced the functionality that is automatic payment program. Okay, so after the execution of automatic payment program, we have the accounting entry, right? So vendor account data to the bank account creditor, vendor what comes in, creditor what goes out. So once we receive the bank statement from the bank, okay, bank statement is loaded into the SAP system and automatic reconciliation happens. So that is why step by step we need to do the configurations. Okay, what is the step by step configurations? Here we will raise the purchase order. End user will raise the purchase order, get the material from the vendors, and after that they will make the payment to the vendors, and after that you will send the data medium exchange file to the bank, right? And bank will pay the amount to the vendor, right? And after that bank will send the bank statement, right? So in SAP system we do have EBS, electronic bank statement, and we need to upload those amounts so which are sent by the particular bank, right? Okay, right? So why? Because you need to estimate the balances, you need to estimate the statements whether we have got loss or profit. So this is the exact system that we wanted to discuss, and at the same time this FIDMM integration, you know it very well, all of you. I mean, this is the material management process, and we can call it as a costing unit, and each and every activity which is spent money should be captured by the finance people. Okay, each and every activity which spent money, okay, that should be captured by the finance people. You know it, up to purchase orders, there is no any integration, all of you, because no accounting entries are generated. And at the time of goods receipt, FITMM integration will be happened. So when the goods receipt material document is generated, right, in material management, and FI document is generated for FI, there will be two documents. Okay, I will going to explain you about the material management document and FI document. You can able to see in the FI document flow. Okay, based on some factors, FITMM integration will be happened using transaction code OBYC. Okay, what are those factors, all of you? So you need to more focus on these things. Okay, when they ask you about the factors, okay, OBYC factors and all, what are those OBYC factors? So first one is movement type, second one is material types, third one is valuation class, fourth one is valuation modifier, fifth one is transaction key. And most probably in interview they will just ask you about the transaction keys and movement types and material types. Please try to understand the point. So here, what are those movement types? First one is you are posting the goods receipt. I mean, end user will post the goods receipt, right? So what is the movement type? You should know it. Why? Because you will give the user acceptance training, user acceptance testing. So for that, you need to have more clarity on the movement types. Okay, so movement type 101 mainly deals with the goods receipt. Movement types 261 mainly deals with the goods issued to the production order. Okay, and 551 scrapping of the goods if you have any scrap of the goods and all. So 601 goods delivered to the customer. See, we do have different types of movement types, and 561 basically refers to the initial upload to the stock. All material movements in happens with respect to a movement type. Okay, so that is very important. So if you want to have the particular transaction, okay, and how these things are happening based on the valuation classes only, it is happening. So what are those valuation classes? Every material will have valuation class field, all of you, and that could be raw material, semi-finished goods or finished goods. The combination of valuation class and plus movement types determines the GL accounts. Okay, you can able to see it in the OBYC transaction code. I will explain you each and everything in a detailed manner. Okay, when it comes to the configuration, it is just a theory part. Okay, just observe the points that I am telling. Okay, and after that, whatever the points that interviewer will going to ask you, please try to understand the point. Okay, then you can able to understand these things and all. Whatever the flow that they are asking, please try to tell it. Okay, so don't tell it from the starting point of the configurations and starting point of the concept. Okay, whatever the concept that they are asking, if they are asking about the goods receipt, just tell about the goods receipt. Okay, right. See, all material movements in happens with respect to a movement type, right? So based on which movement type, based on which valuation classes it is happening. See, every material will have valuation class field, all of you. That could be a raw material, semi-finished goods, finished goods. So valuation classes is nothing but the 3000. Suppose it refers to the raw material. 7000, 7900, it refers to the semi-finished goods. 7920, it refers to the finished goods. What are those transaction keys? You are making some entries, right? Okay, GL accounting entries, right? So it is used to control the storage or filling documents and assigning of the documents. Suppose GBB, offsetting entry for customers. Okay, the next one is PRT, price differences, BSX, that is inventory posting, raw material inventory posting. Okay, so you will post the entry, right? Raw material inventory account data to the vendor account data. So at the same time, in goods receipt also, we will post that entry based on the WRX, that is GR or IR clearing, and FRI, freight charges. See, based on the things you can able to do it. So to do all these things, you need to have valuation modifier. Valuation modifier is also known as valuation grouping code. In OBYC transaction code, you can able to do it. But before we assign this valuation grouping code, we need to assign the, we need to create a valuation grouping code. Based on that code only, you will assign the GL accounts based on the valuation grouping code, valuation classes like this. Okay, so this grouping code, we can activate valuation modifier using transaction code OMWM. We can able to do the configurations, don't worry. And we can maintain the valuation grouping code using transaction code OMWD. You can maintain the valuation modifier. You can maintain the valuation grouping code. Okay, so valuation modifier is nothing but it is having the valuation grouping code. So which connects to the valuation classes and GL account. Okay, so don't get too much of confusion on the valuation modifier and valuation grouping. It is same, but the thing is that we need to have valuation modifier. So to execute this valuation grouping code, we need to have the valuation modifier, right? So this valuation area as a plant or company within the chart of accounts. So the main important mandatory point to maintain the valuation modifier, as valuation area cannot be assigned to the account determination in OBYC transaction code. Okay, even if you have one valuation area, that should be assigned to the valuation modifier. Okay, I will going to show you the configurations, and you will going to have the exact confirmation of the configurations. Okay, so the next one is material type. All of you see, each material should assign material type in material master records, right? Okay, so what are those material master records? I will just tell you. So it is used for update the whether the changes made in quantity are updated in material master records, and changes in value also updated in stock accounts. Okay, so what are those material types? ROH, it refers to the raw material, and HALB, it refers to the semi-finished goods, and FERT, it refers to the finished goods, and HAVA, it refers to the trading goods. Okay, some of the raw material types that you have, and all these things I have written in the material, total SAP FICO material. You can able to get each and every point. Okay, you don't worry. In interview point of view, you will not going to miss any points. Okay, so in material master data at accounting tab 1, okay, I mean in MM01 transaction code at material accounting tab 1, we have the valuation class field, okay, and price control field. In price control field, there are standard prices and there are moving average prices. Okay, they will just ask you the question, all of you. What do you, I mean, though if you are not dealing with the MM configurations and all, they will just check your knowledge. What do you mean by standard price and what do you mean by moving average price and what is the difference? See, in this standard price is usually used for semi-finished material or finished material. But moving average price is used for raw material and external purchases. The price of the raw material may vary based on the market. Because of this reason, we will use the moving average price. See, all of you, FI to MM integration and FI to SD integration is interrelated. Based on the stock wise only, we can able to give the finished goods to the particular customer. I will try to explain you this things and all. There will be a scenarios. Okay, so if you are able to tell the scenarios to the particular interviewer all, so then only they will accept your profile. Otherwise, they will not going to accept your profile. Why? Because you simply tell the configurations and all. Okay, everybody knows the configurations, but the thing is that how the business process is happening, that is very, very important. Okay, so now what we need to do is how we can able to do the configurations. Okay, all of you, this is not the configurations that is related to the FI. It is only related to the MM people. Okay, so we will have one transaction code, that is OBYC, and in that transaction code we can able to assign the GL account, that is our duty. Okay, which will be considered as a FI to MM integration. Okay, so integration means account determination. In the accounting determination, we will going to involve in this account determination only using transaction code OBYC. Okay, so please try to understand the point in this FI to MM integration. When you go to this total SAP FICO important theory pack, okay, you can able to learn each and everything. Okay, see, there is no any consequences in this FI to MM integrations, and there is no any conspiracy. Okay, there is no any conspiracy. The main important thing is that the flow you need to maintain. Okay, so as a SAP FICO consultant, so we involve in the account determination only, not in any configurations. But the thing is that how these business process are happening. Okay, you need to know it. Okay, so if I tell you in a subject wise, you cannot understand, all of you. What do you mean by valuation class? What do you mean by transaction key? What do you mean by a valuation modifier? What do you mean by material types? What do you mean by movement types? What do you mean by transaction keys? Like this, you will not going to learn anything if I tell you in a subject wise. Okay, so let's move into this configurations. all of you. Okay, so please try to understand the point. In SAP FICO activities, okay, they will not going to focus on the ABM integration, I mean integration configurations, and all. They will just focus on the account determination. You got my point, all of you? Please try to understand the point.